Yeah.
Welcome. We're visiting with George Miller. George Miller comes to us from Seattle, Washington. He's been in Los Angeles for about 8 years, and he is one of the semi-regulars at the Comedy Store on Sunset Strip. And George, good to see you.
Glad to be here.
God,
Thank you.
it's been a long time.
How long? I just watched you a minute ago.
I know, just about 5 minutes, as a matter of fact. Judge, you know, a comedian, what man would aspire to become a comedian? Because, you know, what you're doing basically is saying, okay, I can make you laugh, and you're throwing something out there and someone has to bite and react to it. What gives you the feeling that you can do this type of thing?
Well, I guess all my life I've been kind of funny, I guess. And I know in high school we had a creative writing course we could take, and you could get out of English for like a semester. And almost anything I would write, then they would usually laugh at it. So I think I started thinking along those lines about that time.
You remember any of those old scripts?
Not
if you have to, huh?
I might be able to. If you gave me a couple days, I might be able to come up with one or two. But I just remember that we didn't read our own stuff. We would write it, and then somebody else would get up and read it, and nobody knew whose was being read. So if it didn't get laughs, I could just say, well, the guy had a bad delivery or something like that.
Are you the type of guy that stands up in front of the audience and just does an extemporaneous type of thing, or are you pretty well scripted?
No, I know exactly what I'm going to say. Once in a while something will come up, but I wouldn't call myself a hotshot ad-libber. Like some guys are very good off the top of their head. There's a guy, David Letterman, over at the store who can go on and on for like 15, 20 minutes just off the top of his head. And but I'm not known for that, no.
Speaking of ad-libbing, I've got to do it for about 30 seconds to inform the people that in the next segment we'll be taking telephone calls. Victoria, James, and I will be there for Sound Off, and you can get anything that you want off of your chest. Any protest, any grievance, state it. It's your time. So get ready for Sound Off. The numbers that you see crawling at the bottom of your screen in most areas are toll-free. Now, you've done some routines. I've heard about some of your routines about relatives and friends and so forth. Acquaint us with some of those people.
Oh, you want some jokes? Oh.
Yes,
well,
be funny.
You know, I just thought of a friend of mine. This was just new because what you do is you'll sit at home and you'll think, well, what's funny? And I was thinking of some friends that I had, you know, years ago. The kid I remember was David Felch, because when I was little, he was like 6 years old and he weighed about 400 pounds. And other kids can really be nasty when a kid is overweight, and it was always, you know, fatty, fatty, 2x4, can't get through the kitchen door, which was not only mean, it was also inaccurate. Obviously, you've been through the kitchen door thousands of times. And that's just a little sample.
That's just a little sample.
Yeah.
That's just to get you warmed up,
yeah.
folks. And moving on, who are some of the other people that...
I talk about relatives quite a bit. I talk about the fact that I always felt sorry for my mom because she always had to work an outside job because she was putting my dad through prison, and talk about the fact that the whole family was weird. It's not just me. I remember when I was real little, if my dad got mad at me, he would always threaten me by taking off his belt, and that always caused his pants to fall down, and then his dad would come in and spank him. It's, not a pretty situation.
Do you resent the fact that they kind of label you with a Herb Shriner type of image?
No, I don't see myself like that. I've seen old tapes of Herb Shriner, and I liked him. I don't see it myself, but they say I'm kind of hicky or homespun or whatever, and they can say what they want. You know, I'm just doing the jokes and seeing what happens.
What other jobs have you had besides working at the Comedy Store, working as a comedian?
Well, I've done quite a bit of TV lately. I've done a couple Carsons and a couple Griffins and a Dinah, and I've worked at the Ice House in Pasadena, and I worked at a club up in Seattle for a couple of years when I first started out.
But what about the joke jobs, some of the things that have been trying in your life?
The joke... Oh, I see what you mean. Oh, I worked at a bakery, which I will not give them a plug because I don't like them. Very unsanitary bakery for a year and a half. And I worked at American Can Company up in Seattle for a while, and I worked at a book company for a while. Just haven't had really too many regular jobs. I played pool for a long time. I was never a tournament player, but I got by for maybe as long as a year just playing for a few dollars.
Can you make a living being a comedian? Attempting to be funny?
I'm doing all right now. I'm doing all right now, but in the past I've also written for a lot of comics also, so make a few dollars like that. I haven't had really a regular job for about 4 years, but sometimes it's been pretty tight.
What goes, for example, politics? Now, you know, we're in the high political season. We've got a big debate, 3 debates coming up between the presidential candidates. How do you view these people?
Well, it's like Will Rogers said, all I know is what I read in the paper, and I don't even really read it. I kind of scan it, so I hope it'll be interesting. I used to do a few things on Nixon, but that's passé now, so I don't have any peanut jokes, if that's what you mean, or any stumbling jokes.
How do you see their personalities?
Oh, real boring.
Well,
Yeah, not too interesting, either one of them. That's just my own opinion.
so you don't feel that you're going to get any stimulation whatsoever?
Well, the thing is, I don't work on that stuff because you can make up a great political joke and it'll only be good for so long. I try to get stuff that'll last me for years. It seems like the current event stuff, it comes and goes, so I really don't concentrate on that.
What are your heavies, the things that you can depend on night after night?
Joke-wise?
Yeah.
Let me see. I talk about the fact that my grandparents were Pentecostal, fire and brimstone. And, you know, if you're not good, you're going to hell. And I grew up always fearing that. I got to be good. There couldn't be a worse possible fate. But a couple of years ago, my attitude changed because I saw the movie The Exorcist. Remember the demon? The demon says something like, your mother does perverted acts in hell. And I thought, well, maybe it's bad, but apparently they do have a recreation period. Crowd's a little slow, actually.
Well, you know, it's 9 in the morning.
I know, really.
They're warming
Yeah,
up. You know, don't worry about it. This next one, you're going to kill them. Go right ahead.
Oh, you want more? Oh, gee.
You say you want more. Yes, I do. Certainly.
Well, probably the joke that I am not known for, but the joke that people comment on is I talk about the fact that you like your parents, but they can really make you feel insecure. Like a classic example, on my 20th birthday, instead of saying happy birthday, George, and all that, my mom had to bring out the fact that Howard Hughes, when he was 20, he had his own tool company. I mean, can you see that, a 20-year-old kid? Yeah, we'll have a stockholders meeting at 10 o'clock. I'm flying to the coast at noon. I'll be meeting with the president of General Motors at 5 p.m. When I was 20, I was working at McDonald's. You want lids on these?
Have you progressed since that point?
No.
No? You still want to see if someone wants a lid. How often that
it's all lies. I think there's hardly anything in my act that's the truth.
Well, that's a fantasy. That's what it is, right?
Yes, it is a fantasy. That's
How
right.
often are you at the Comedy Store?
Oh, probably 5-6 nights a week if I'm in town, and I usually am, because you're testing out stuff there to try to do on television. So you try to, it's kind of a workshop.
So if you want to get a look at this Herb Shriner type and sample some of his humor, you can go up to the Comedy Store on Sunset Strip. George Miller, thank you so much.
Okay, thanks.
And hello to all of the folks in Seattle.
Okay, thank you.
We'll be back with Sound Off right after this message. Don't go away.